My fiancée handed her brother my truck keys and sent him $8,400 from my emergency fund, saying, "Family doesn't need permission." I said, "You're right, it needs consequences." By midnight, my accounts were frozen, my locks were changed, and her brother was driving my Tacoma back on fumes. The wedding started dying before the deposit refund even cleared. Original post. I'm Mason, 31. I work in procurement for a medical supply company, which mostly means I spend my days reading contracts closely enough to notice the sentence other people skim past. That habit has saved me money more than once. It also ended my engagement. My fiancée was Kelsey, 29. She worked in event marketing and had this gift for making chaos sound festive. If something was impulsive, she called it spontaneous. If it was reckless, she called it generous. If it affected my money, my time, or my property, somehow it became our decision after the fact. We'd been together almost 4 years, engaged for 8 months, and living in my condo for a little over a year. The condo was in my name. The Tacoma was in my name. The emergency fund was in my name. That last one matters. I kept 3 buckets of money. My main checking for bills. A shared household account we both used for groceries, utilities, and random apartment stuff. And a separate emergency fund at my credit union with $8,400 in it. That account was for actual emergencies. Job loss, medical issue, major repair, real-life hits. Kelsey knew that. We had talked about it more than once because she used to joke that I treated money like it had feelings. Maybe I do. But I grew up watching my dad recover from one temporary loan after another from relatives who always meant well and never paid him back. So yes, I believe in helping people. I also believe help starts with asking. Kelsey's family did not share that belief. They were one of those what's yours is ours families until it came time to replace something, repay something, or admit they'd overstepped. Her younger sister once borrowed my ladder and left it outside in the rain for 3 days. Her cousin used my grill for a graduation party I wasn't invited to. Her brother Drew had this magical ability to always be between things financially, while somehow never being between weekend trips, tattoos, or new sneakers. Every time, Kelsey would shrug and say, "That's just how my family is." And every time I'd say some version of, "That's fine as long as they ask." Apparently that was too much. The blow-up happened on a Sunday at her parents' house. Backyard barbecue, her dad on the smoker, her mom making iced tea, kids running around. Drew pacing with his phone in his hand like a man auditioning for a role called Unnecessary Emergency. I was at the patio table helping Kelsey's dad move a fantasy football app onto his new phone when Drew said, "I just need a little help getting on my feet." That sentence never means what people pretend it means. Kelsey was standing beside him with that look she got when she'd already volunteered me for something. I knew it before she opened her mouth. She said, "Babe, Drew and Lanny are driving to Nashville tonight. They found a place, but they need cash for the deposit and a truck to move a few things." I looked at Drew. He looked away. That was clue number 1. I said, "Okay." "Why are you telling me like it's already decided?" Kelsey actually laughed. Not nervous, not embarrassed, amused. Then she said the sentence that ended us. "Oh, because I already handled it. I sent him the money and he's taking your truck." Family doesn't need permission. I thought I'd misheard her. I said, "You what?" She held up her hand like I was being dramatic. "I sent Drew the money from your reserve account. He was panicking, and I'm not going to let my brother drown because you like spreadsheets." Then she reached into the kitchen junk drawer built into the outdoor island, picked up my spare Tacoma key and tossed it to him. Like it was nothing. Like my property was a party favor. My phone buzzed in my pocket right then. Bank alert. 3 transfer notifications. Total, $8,400. My entire emergency fund. I just looked at the screen for a second. Then I looked at Kelsey. Then at Drew holding my truck key. Then at the rest of the family, all suddenly very interested in napkins, side dishes, and clouds. Kelsey crossed her arms and said, Don't do that thing where you get quiet and self-righteous. Family doesn't need permission. That was when I said it, very calm. You're right, it needs consequences. Drew gave that fake laugh some men use when they're hoping the room will tell them they're safe. Kelsey rolled her eyes. Are you serious right now? I stood up, handed her dad his phone back, and walked inside. No shouting, no scene, no speech. I went into the front hallway, sat on the bench by the coat rack, and started making calls. First call, the credit union fraud department. I told them there had been unauthorized transfers out of my emergency account. They froze online access, flagged the transfers, and opened a claim. Because it was the weekend, they couldn't finalize everything immediately, but they put a hold on outgoing activity and documented the dispute. Second call, my locksmith. I had smart locks on the condo, but the physical backup keys still existed, and Kelsey knew where everything was. I scheduled a rekey for first thing Monday morning and changed the digital access codes from the app while I was sitting there. Third call, my truck app. Location active. Drew was still in the driveway, so I texted him. Me, bring the truck key back and step away from my vehicle. Me, if that truck leaves this address without my permission, I report it stolen. Me, you have 5 minutes. He came storming into the house holding the key, acting offended. Bro, it's not like I'm stealing it. I looked at him and said, you're holding my key after my fiancée stole $8,400 from me. Pick a better word if you want. Kelsey followed him in, furious. You're humiliating me in front of my family. I said, no, you did that when you stole from me in front of them. She snapped back instantly. I did not steal from you, we're getting married. That line told me everything. Not that she was sorry, not that she panicked, not that she understood what she'd done. Just that she believed proximity to me was ownership. I asked, how did you even get into that account? She said, your passcode is the same as the stupid thermostat app, Mason. You act like you're the FBI. There it was, not remorse. Contempt. I nodded once. Then I said, the wedding is paused. You're not coming back to my condo tonight. Her eyes went wide. You can't be serious. I'm extremely serious. Her mom finally spoke up very quietly. Kelsey, but Kelsey was locked in. This is exactly why people think you're cold. It was one favor for my brother, I said. One favor doesn't empty an account and hand over a truck. Then I left. I drove home in silence, parked in my garage, and packed one overnight bag for her. Toothbrush, charger, a few clothes, makeup bag. I put it by the front door. When she showed up 40 minutes later, I opened the door just enough to hand it to her. She stared at the bag like she couldn't process what was happening. You're really doing this over money, I said. No, I'm doing this over theft dressed up as family values. Then I shut the door. She called me 23 times that night. I counted because after the 10th call I muted her but didn't block her yet. I wanted a record. Around 11:40 p.m., my truck app pinged. Ignition on. Drew had taken it anyway. That was the moment the engagement died for real. I called non-emergency, explained that a family member had taken my vehicle after being explicitly denied permission, and asked how to document it. The dispatcher told me if it wasn't returned promptly, I could escalate to a stolen vehicle report. I took screenshots of everything and sent Drew one final text with the location showing I could track him. Me, return the Tacoma tonight, park it in my garage, leave the key in the mailbox. Me, if it is not back by 100 a.m., I file the report. At 12:36 a.m., the truck rolled back in. He left it with the tank almost empty, 318 extra miles on it, a fast food bag on the passenger floor, and a fresh scrape on the rear bumper. He didn't leave a note. Kelsey did. She texted me at 12:44. Kelsey, I can't believe you'd threaten my brother like that over a truck. Kelsey, this is why people don't feel safe with you. That might be the funniest thing anyone has ever said to me. People don't feel safe with the guy whose fiancée emptied his emergency fund and whose future brother-in-law took his truck after being told no. Monday morning, the locksmith came. $420. The body shop estimate came in that afternoon. $1,680 for the bumper damage. Fuel replacement and tolls added another $146. I also took Monday off work because I had to deal with the bank, my attorney, and a woman I no longer trusted having legal residency in my home. That's another detail people skip until it matters. If someone lives with you long enough, removing them is not just break up and toss the stuff outside. I paid a lawyer $375 for a consultation and a formal occupancy notice because Kelsey had mail coming there and had established residency. The attorney said the sentence I already knew was coming. "You're not dealing with a breakup," he said. "You're dealing with liability." Exactly. By Tuesday, the credit union had issued provisional credit on the $8,400 while they investigated. They also asked for a police report because the transfers were made without authorization from a device I wasn't using at the time. So I filed one. Kelsey lost her mind when she found out. She called from her sister's phone because I'd blocked hers by then. "You filed a police report on me." I said, "I filed a report about what you did. You're trying to ruin my life." "No, I'm trying to keep you from ruining mine." Then I hung up. She went online that night with a vague post about finding out who values money over family. I didn't respond publicly. I just sent one short text to the people whose opinion actually mattered, her parents, her sister, and 2 mutual friends. I wrote, "Kelsey accessed my private emergency fund without permission, transferred $8,400 to Drew, and allowed him to take my vehicle after I said no. I froze the account, documented the vehicle use, and ended the engagement. That's the whole story." That was enough. Her mother called me the next morning crying, not because I ended it, because she had apparently told Kelsey for years that one day she'd push too far and mistake patience for weakness. Her dad didn't cry, he just said, "You're not wrong." That was honestly worse for Kelsey than if they'd yelled at her. Update 1. It's been a week. The short version is that every bad instinct Kelsey had, she followed. She showed up at my condo Thursday with her sister and said she was coming in because half the stuff in there is mine anyway. I already had my friend Ben there, plus the building manager, because I don't do surprise visits anymore. I handed her 2 boxes I'd packed with the rest of her things: clothes, shoes, cosmetics, laptop stand, framed prints, kitchen gadgets she'd bought, and a ridiculously expensive candle collection that smelled like a spa trying too hard. She asked where the engagement photo albums were. I said in the trash. That part wasn't even spiteful. They were physical proofs of a plan that no longer existed. Then she asked the question that told me she still didn't get it. "So what, 1 mistake and 4 years mean nothing?" I said. "No, 4 years meant a lot. That's why your 1 mistake had to be something enormous to kill it. Congratulations." Ben had to look away because he almost laughed. Drew texted me later saying I was doing too much over a family emergency. I sent him the itemized list: bumper damage, $1,680 locksmith, $420 fuel and tolls, $146 missed hauling job I canceled because my truck was gone, $600 total, $2,846. Then I wrote, "Me, family emergencies don't usually involve lying, taking, and damaging someone else's property. Me, you and your sister can decide who's paying this." He did not respond. The bank investigation also got uglier for Kelsey than she expected. The login came from the condo Wi-Fi while I was still at her parents' house. The timing matched her transfer texts to Drew. The investigator told me not to contact her about repayment directly until they finalized the fraud review. That's when it hit me. She hadn't made a rash decision in the moment. She had done it before telling me, planned it, which made her line at the barbecue even crazier. She wasn't asking for forgiveness. She was announcing I didn't get a vote. Wedding-wise, I canceled everything. Venue deposit, $2,000 gone. Non-refundable. Photographer let me convert my payment into a future family session credit. Florist refunded all but $150. Caterer returned 80%. Even in the middle of a ruined engagement, I noticed who acted like adults and who didn't. Kelsey, meanwhile, kept telling people I called the cops because her brother borrowed my truck. Borrowed is such a flexible word when dishonest people use it. Final update. It's been a little over 2 months. The engagement is fully dead. The legal and financial part is basically done. And yes, I'm sleeping better. The credit union closed the investigation in my favor. The provisional credit became permanent because the transfers were unauthorized. Kelsey apparently tried to argue that we were engaged, so she had implied access. That did not go well for her. Engaged is not the same as authorized. Relationship is not consent. And family doesn't need permission is not a banking policy. For the truck damage and related costs, I filed small claims for $28.46 against both Kelsey and Drew. Drew didn't show. Kelsey did. She cried in court, not dramatic movie crying, more like the kind people do when they're realizing charm does not work on paperwork. She told the judge it was a misunderstanding between a couple preparing for marriage. The judge asked one question: did you have permission to access the account and transfer the funds? She tried to pivot into feelings. He asked again. She said no. That was pretty much it. Judgment for me. Not because I was cruel, because facts are durable. I also learned something from all of this that I probably should have learned sooner. The first disrespect is rarely the first problem. It's just the first one big enough that you finally stop explaining it away. A few mutual friends drifted toward her version at first. Most came back when they realized my version had receipts, timestamps, mileage logs, bank records, and zero need for embellishment. That's another thing I've learned. Truth is calmer than lying. Kelsey sent one last email last week. No apology. Just this: I still think you chose money over love. I read it twice and then archived it. Because no, I didn't choose money over love. I chose self-respect over entitlement. I chose boundaries over performance. I chose reality over whatever fantasy lets a grown adult believe she can empty someone's emergency fund, hand over his truck, and still call herself the victim. Her mother mailed back a box of small things Kelsey had kept by mistake, and it was a note that just said, "You were kinder than you should have had to be." That felt true. Ben says I should date again, maybe eventually. For now, the condo is quiet, my accounts are mine, and my truck is parked exactly where I left it, which, after all this, feels like peace. She said family doesn't need permission. The court, the bank, and reality disagreed.